Speaker, members of this august House, I put to you that all nations are the same, all nations are dead, all nations are constrained by the tyranny of homogeneity that their populations are struck with. What I propose to you is that by doing precisely what Max himself suggested, by making the social construct something that each party has complete freedom in signing, something, allowing governments to set the terms of their social contracts and allowing anyone to choose to sign whichever social contract they want, allows for the creation of truly meaningful nation states from the point of view in actually allowing the complete self-fulfillment of identity, and how that also takes away conflict rather than exacerbates it. But before I do, let's go back to arbitrariness, because I have 3 points in response to what Shane Wu said. He firstly said that, well, arbitrary relationships can sometimes impose moral duty, like parenthood. Well, first of all, no. Quite frankly, if you operate from a logical standpoint, we refute that there is a philosophically irrefutable moral duty associated with parenthood. We think that the goal of governments around the world should be the promotion of total utility across the human species. This moral duty, which may be recognised by parents, Mr. Speaker, is not a duty that governments have any right or reason to recognise if it detracts from that total utility. Let's look at a scenario, Mr. Speaker. Okay, so first of all, let's say a parent can save 2 children from a car, one of which is theirs, one of which is another's. Okay, now most people wouldn't condemn them for saving that child, but let's suppose that their child is in danger now, and the only way to save that child is by taking the life of another. That's illegal in every government that exists, despite the fact that these people supposedly have a moral duty, Mr. Speaker. And yet those 2 acts are philosophically indistinguishable, at least in debate land where there's no acts and omissions distinction. This leads to my second point, because Shane Wu tried to obfuscate the debate when he talked about moral duty. This isn't about moral duty. We can recognise that states do have a moral duty to the people who are born there. The question is about the extent of that moral duty. Because we say, this isn't about allowing people to keep their benefits. Another scenario. Let's say that, let's say you've got a group of kids and some guy comes up to them and gives them some sweets arbitrarily. Okay, now maybe there's no need for redistribution there. But let's say these children already have certain amounts of candy and someone comes along and takes some from one kid and gives it to another. Now, surely any reasonable person would suggest that the best thing to do would be to redistribute, to act against, to offset the effects of that crime. What Joe said is that all of the benefits that we receive by birth are not absolute. Humankind as a species is comparative, is competitive, it is relativistic. Therefore, any benefits that we gain from the birth lottery are benefits that we take from other people. Therefore, the act of a state denying other people the benefits of its citizenship at the expense of to their detriment for the benefit of their citizens is philosophically indistinguishable from the act of one parent killing another child to save their own. So regardless of whether or not there's a moral duty, we still think that act is wrong. And thirdly, we think there should be a moral duty. We think that being born in a country is a far less a sincerity test than a person who, outside of the country, who, despite the social norms and inertia of life, Mr. Speaker, chooses to sign the social contract of the country. We think that's a far greater sincerity test, and any fair-minded country should recognise that with a moral duty at least equal to or greater than the moral duty than they recognise as being associated with their own people. So let's talk about, yes, I'll take it.
So suppose Johnny and Max have a social contract placed together for the good of all. Why do you suppose Max and Johnny have a social contract placed together for the common good. Why is it that you get to come along and sign their contract when neither of them want to cooperate with you to play snooker?
No, governments get to sign a contract saying you get to live in my country if you want to play snooker with me. You don't then get to say you don't then get to pick and choose the people that come and get to play snooker with you. That's the freedom that we're talking about. So this brings me to the second half of my speech. Because as I've said, all nations are ultimately the same. They're constrained by the fact that they don't govern for particular people or for particular interests, but a completely arbitrary, diverse group of people who have competing influence. Therefore, no nation can be successful in meeting the needs of any of its citizens. All nations are defeated, all nations are defeated, all citizens are ultimately defeated, Mr. Speaker. By removing that shackle of homogeneity, by allowing people to pick and choose which social contract they sign up to, Mr. Speaker, by allowing people to decide which national identity best reflects their preferences. And keep in mind, this still allows nations to, to incorporate reciprocal responsibilities upon people. It simply takes away the abilities of nation states to, tie initial, strings upon the entering of that contract. So, given that then allows governments, just as competition in any market creates for the maximisation of utility and the creation of more options, this allows governments to create genuinely diverse, interesting forms of government, which actually meet the needs of different groups of people. Rather than everyone being defeated, people can choose the form of government that best reflects their preferences. And this is also good for people themselves, because quite frankly, I don't believe that despite the conflicts we see around the world, people actually give a damn about what other people believe. The only reason people seem to care about what other people believe is because history teaches us that the beliefs of other people will inevitably constrain our own freedoms, because we work through this system of representative government in which everyone has to have their say, in which everything is compromised, everything is diluted, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, no one has the ability to live in a state that actually reflects their ideals. No person is a party to the social construct, as Max suggested. Why does this change? Because it allows people to move to other countries that best reflect their beliefs. And as Shane would be said, we recognise that there are price tags associated with this. We recognise that people have to be able to afford plane tickets. But that's okay, because there's now a possibility of satiating that need. Like, I may want a bike. I don't necessarily have to be given a bike, but I do have to have the means of satiating that need. I do have to have the means of working to obtain the money necessary to buy the bike. By allowing, even if these things come with price tags, by allowing people to, to find means to actually meet their needs, to find a government that represents them, Mr. Speaker, that takes away tension, because individual freedom is no longer something that comes at the cost of others. And that's why we're proud to propose.